and welcome back. It is Thursday, January 18th, and we are here for another edition of NJCAA All Access. I'm Zach McKinstry.
And I'm Alexa Wesselman, and I know over the past week since we last saw you, there have been a couple of games postponed due to weather, so I hope everybody is staying safe with all of the snow, the ice, the rain, and that no more games get postponed over the next week.
Yeah, cold outside, but definitely heating up on the court. A lot of big matchups from last weekend, so let's jump into it with our junior college basketball scoreboard. We start with a game we expected a lot from, and man, did it deliver. Number 3 Northwest Florida hosted number 14 Chipola in a conference opener for the ages. This game saw double-digit leads by each side, but the Indians nor the Raiders could pull away thanks to great play from Northwest Florida's Rashid Jones. He couldn't miss, draining 7 3-pointers, and then Chipola's Idell Walton, who picked up a 15-point double-double. In the end, the Indians went 26 for 32 from the stripe, with 2 big ones to send it to OT and 5 more in the extra frame to take down the number 3 D1 squad 76-73. Another ranked matchup from last week was number 7 Mineral Area, who took care of business against number 16 Moberly Area, limiting the Greyhounds to 46 points and 28% from the field. And another big upset happened last Wednesday when number 5 Salt Lake was beaten by unranked College of Southern Idaho thanks to 22 points and 5 3-pointers from Jalen Johnson. Number 1 Northwest Florida and number 3 Gulf Coast State dominated ranked matchups in D1 ladies hoops, but the big news from the women's side last week was number 23 Blinn upsetting number 4 Trinity Valley by 2. This was a tight matchup with a ton of action in the final couple minutes, starting with this offensive rebound off of a missed free throw, which allowed the Cardinals to cut it to 1. A few seconds later, a steal on the other end gets the ball back for TVCC, and they get the timeout off to advance the ball, trailing 61-60. A charging foul on the inbound sent Brianna Baxter to the line, and she would nail both to lead by 1. Then, final 10 seconds, a quick inbound and bucket plus the foul gave the Buccaneers a lead that they would keep 64-62, followed by one last chance for the Lady Cardinals, who worked their way to half court but missed the would-be game winner off the back iron, and Blinn gets the upset over Trinity Valley. On to Division II, number 13 Mott fell to a team that received votes and has since jumped into the rankings in St. Clair County. And after a 20-point win over number 4 Des Moines area last week, Ellsworth drops a game to number 15 Iowa Lakes by a score of 81-69. One upset on the women's side of D2 as the John Wood Blazers made it 4 in a row with a win over number 6 Lakeland College on Saturday. Jada Dupree put up a season-high 29 points in that effort. And then number 11 North Central Missouri rallied from a 7-point halftime deficit to defeat number 19 Highland 56-53 in the lone ranked D2 women's game. Division III number 2 Northern Essex nearly knocked off Division II SUNY Westchester, but a late push from the Vikings secured the victory. And after a game winner against number 5 Montgomery County last week, number 7 Northampton was upset by Sussex County and the Highlanders. Lastly, it was a roller coaster week for number 7 CC Rhode Island, who blew out number 14 Monroe College Bronx on Thursday, but lost by 17 to unranked Fulton Montgomery just 2 days later. Plenty more ranked matchups on the way. Here's Alexa to break down the ones coming up this week.
There are some really good games coming up in the next week or so. So let's take a look at a couple of the ones that we're going to be keeping an eye on. We're going to start with D1 men's basketball. Number 12 Cali facing number 19 Butler. The Tigers are 15-2 coming off a loss to Cloud County, and the Grizzlies are 13-3, but all 3 of their losses are to ranked teams. And this is a big conference game. Butler hasn't lost to a Jayhawk opponent yet. D1 women's basketball, number 2 Collin versus number 4 McLennan. Collin is undefeated, playing great, obviously, number 2 ranked in the country. McLennan has 3 losses, but a similar situation to Butler, all of their losses are against ranked teams. This is another conference matchup, and these games are so important right now, so definitely keep an eye on this game as well. D2 men's basketball, number 3 South Suburban versus number 8 Milwaukee Area Tech. The Bulldogs have only one loss, but both of these teams have a good win streak right now. South Suburban has 8 games, and Milwaukee Area going 7 games strong. In D3 women's basketball, number 1 Rochester versus number 4 Anoka Ramsey. A top 5 conference and division matchup. So this game could change the landscape for the D3 women's basketball if Anoka Ramsey can get the upset. And those are just a handful of the games that we're going to keep watching over the next week. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student-athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student-athletes play the sport they love.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Welcome back into NJCAA All Access. Now, I love to spotlight our junior college alumni, but it's even better when everyone starts to take notice. 6 JUCO alums won Conference Player of the Week at the NCAA level last week. Vontarius Woolbright was an honorable mention All-American at Lawson State and is now balling out with the Catamounts of Western Carolina. Deanna Wilson was an All-American at Moberly area and has 3 straight years of postseason awards in the Missouri Valley Conference at Illinois State. And then that name at the top. Dalton Connect has been the talk of men's college basketball this week as the Northeastern JC transfer is now balling up in Rocky Top. The 5th year has found his way onto every midseason awards list after an unreal start to the season. You can see his last 3 games he combined for 103 points, which is now a Tennessee record. His college career started back in 2019, where he spent 2 years with the Plainsmen, earning first-team NJCAA All-American and leading them to the NJCAA National Tournament. He followed up his time in JUCO by winning the Big Sky scoring title in 2 years at the University of Northern Colorado and hasn't stopped in his final year with the Volunteers, averaging 18.5 points a game and earning his 2nd SEC Player of the Week honor this week after taking over against Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi State. You're going to be hearing a lot about this 6'6" shooter in the coming months as we work our way towards March and he works his way into NBA lottery pick contention. Other alumni dominating at the next level include Rashawn Agee, who's put up double-digit points in his last 9 contests, Keenan Cole, who put up 42 points and 11 rebounds last Thursday for Lindenwood of the Ohio Valley Conference, and Tyon Grant Foster from Indian Hills was WAC Player of the Week at Grand Canyon University. Grant Foster is a great story of resilience after being an NJCAA honorable mention for All-American. He transferred to Kansas, but couldn't find much playing time, didn't give up, transferred to DePaul, but in his season opener with the Blue Demons, he had a medical emergency which sidelined him until this year. But this season, the redshirt senior has found a home at GCU. He's averaged over 20 points a game and 5.5 rebounds per game this season, being a star of consistency for the 16-1 Lopes, who look to be tournament bound for their 2nd straight year. So shout out all NJCAA alum that are balling at the next level, and keep an eye out for those names I just mentioned because they're going to continue to play well into the future. All right, we got a break coming up, but don't go anywhere. We've got rankings and junior college gyms on the other side.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to NJCAA All Access. We're going to get into the rankings, and there's been a lot of movement up and down all three divisions in men's and women's basketball. So let's start with D1 men's. South Plains Texans keeping their spot up top at number 1, but Northwest Florida State falling from 3rd to 8th. Mineral Area, a big jump for them up to 4th. Major kudos to Chipola this week for moving up from 14th to 7th. Lee comes in at 9th, followed by Odessa at 10th. And last week's number 5 ranked team Salt Lake falls to 11th. Cowley down to 12th. And there's some major movement in the bottom half of the rankings up and down. In D2 men's basketball, we have a new number 1 ranked team. National Park College takes over. Former number 1 Parkland falls to 4th. Ellsworth goes down to 9th. Chandler Gilbert was 17th. They're now 12th. Johnson County falls down to 15th. Mott and Pima slide down to 17th and 19th. And a new name rounds out the rankings, St. Clair County. D3 men's, Brookdale keeps it at number 1, while Dallas Northlake moves into 2nd. Northern Essex falls to 5th. Riverland moves into the top 10. Sandhills falls to 13th, and another new name this week, Dallas College Mountain View, coming in at 14th. Moving into women's basketball D1, Northwest Florida State keeps their dominance in the top spot. Trinity Valley falls to 7th. New Mexico moves up after beating Odessa. Butler falls down to 14th. Eastern Florida State moves up to 18th. CSI goes to 22nd. And Casper falling to 24th. D2 women's, Johnson County stays at number 1. Mesa moves into 6th. Lakeland falls to 11th. SAU Tech moves down to 15th. And Bryant and Stratton, Virginia, making their debut on the rankings board at 20th. And we'll wrap up rankings this week with D3 women's basketball. Rochester keeps their status at number 1. Northland falls to 5th. And CCRI moves down to 10th. All right, it's now time to toss it over to Zach for this week's rendition of JUCO Gems.
We dug deep into the ground to find this week's junior college gyms. And just to teach you something you probably didn't know, Pennsylvania's state gym is Amethyst. That's where we start today's highlights at Lackawanna College, where the Falcons have the ball in a tie game against SUNY Sullivan. Time running down. Tie game. Drive to the rim and you can win it. Not if you're Mason Lawson. He pulls up for a deep contested 3 and he banks it off the glass and in, adding an ice-cold strut to cap it off. And Lackawanna takes down the Generals 78-75. Now this one is incredible. Carly Makarawu in the 200-meter men's indoor for New Mexico Junior College. We speeded up to get you to this last turn, but he clocks a 20.29 to set not only an NJCAA record, but a Zimbabwe national record for his country, and it's good enough for one of the fastest track times for anyone on the planet this year. And lastly, former Ranger College second-team All-American Keisei Tominaga hits the dagger against number 1 Purdue to cap off a 19-point performance for his Nebraska Cornhuskers. The step-back tray ball is exquisite, but the celebration even better as Keisei concludes this week's Junior College Gyms.
A special shout out to Lackawanna for tagging us in their social media stuff over the past week, but there's so many basketball games every single day at NJCAA Network. Don't forget to tag us so that we can put your team on next week's JUCO Gems.
Yeah, you know the drill by now at NJCAA Network on Twitter and on Facebook. And that is all we got for you today. Thanks for tuning in on NJCAA All Access, and we will see you right back here next week.